Disaster aboard the USS Constitution. Chapter 1.
I found myself looking into the black void of impending disaster, the loss of my dear Stella. 500 years ago, I lost my wife and 4 children I had loved with my whole being. The pain of my own survival was more than I could bear. But, eventually, my body and mind began to heal. Then there, in Area 51, I found Stella and found love and acceptance once again. I had proposed to her, and to my utter joy she said yes. The plan was for me to complete the project I was part of and then marry. But a war, bombing, and time took Stella away from me, I thought forever. And, again, the pain in my soul threatened to end my existence. But she found me, sleeping in cryosleep just a few feet from where I slept, but it was almost 8 years from my awakening that she appeared in my ship's ready room. The joy that washed over my heart gave me the strength to push on to a great career in the United System Navy with her and our son. So I sit today, a Commodore in the Navy, captain of my ship, the USS Constitution, the first of the decommissioned Constitution-class heavy cruisers to be retrofitted and recommissioned to active service, the fastest, strongest, and the finest ship on active service today. Stella had achieved the rank of lieutenant commander and was the helmsman with the most experience and skill of our crew's talented helmsmen. In the TV program, The Orville, Season 1, Episode 1, the helmsman did a maneuver he called hugging the donkey, where he would maneuver around an enemy ship so close that the other ship could not direct weapons fire on his ship. Stella was a past master of hugging the donkey, and she could anticipate her captain's orders, ready at a moment's notice to maneuver the ship quickly and efficiently.
Stella was the mother of my son, David Arthur Stevens Jr., whom we called Davy, 8 years old, and my daughter, Virginia Lee Stevens, Ginny, 2 years old. We had disagreements like all husbands and wives, but we spent a few days separated only once. That was traumatic enough to ensure that it never happened again. We had an evening routine that drew our little family together tighter and tighter. I would pick Davy and Ginny up from the childcare facility while she would prepare dinner. After dinner, we would play with Davy and Ginny, and then I would practice our martial arts for about half an hour, and then Davy would crawl into his mother's lap, and she would read one of his favorite books. After snuggling together for a while, Davy would bathe, and we would tuck him into bed for the night. Many nights, we would stand with our arms around each other and just admire our kids. The love we experienced at moments like that strengthened and sustained us for whatever might lie ahead. And now Davy, Ginny, and I sit and watch as the monster consuming our Stella mocked us and hated her. She had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and even today, 500 years into our future, this dreaded monster was still at large, hating and killing, taking loved ones away from those who loved, cherished, and needed them. I had asked Dr. T. Vass whether the Hephaestusans had conquered this horror, and she admitted that they had not. Dr. M. Tao tried many things to no avail. He continued his research, and every member of the crew prayed for a cure. The one thing that gave us hope was the unwillingness of T. Vass and M. Tao to give up. We all clung to the mantra, where there is life, there is hope. During the graveyard shift, one of our original crewmen thought of consulting our allies, the Krill, the Fleising, the Cloud People, the Cavarician, the Quasines, and others from the alliance that had been forged in the fight with the Archons. I did this to no avail. I was running out of hope. So my son, daughter, and I spent a lot of time sitting by their mother's bed, touching, loving, and doing whatever we could to comfort her and make her last days as good as possible. Every day, Stella would get out of bed, bathe, and puttered around our cabin, caring for Davy, Ginny, and loving her family. Then, in a few hours, the strength she had husbanded the previous night was spent, and she returned to bed. Dr. Mtao would stop in every afternoon and check her condition, give her a little pep talk, some painkillers, and some other drugs that had been shown to slow the progression of her hated condition. After his visit, at her request, the doctor would update the crew on her condition, then lead the ship in prayer. The members of the crew would stop by after shift, kneel and pray for her, take her hand, and will their life force to be transferred to her for just a few minutes so as not to weary her too much. The crew was also solicitous of the kids and me. We had thought of Bethesda Naval Hospital, but T. Vass had advised there was nothing Bethesda could do that Dr. M. Tao was not already doing, and like before, We decided she needed to be among those who loved her and cared about her, not just me and my 2 kids, but the whole crew. I left our cabin as Stella puttered around and cared for our son and daughter. As I stepped onto the bridge, my first officer, Commander Joel Carson, sang out,
"Captain on the bridge!"
I responded, "As you were." "Joel, what's our status?" Joel replied,
"All systems go, Captain. How's the wife, sir?"
I told him, for all to hear, she's puttering around the cabin and caring for the little ones. Pretty much status quo, thank you. Lieutenant Barbara Steele looked up from the helm at her captain.
We're all praying for her. And you, sir?"
The entire bridge crew nodded in agreement. It was hard, but I smiled. Thank you, Barbara, and all of you. That means a lot to the 4 of us. Suddenly, Kathy's voice said,
"Captain, a ship ahead."
I was startled. Identity. Her voice again.
"Captain, it's one of those spiral ships."
Red alert. I shouted, shields up, weapons hot. Joe, hail that ship. He responded,
"Hailing frequencies open, Captain."
"This is Captain David Stevens of the United System Navy cruiser USS Constitution. Identify yourself." The voice returned,
"This is Captain Gothroop of the untranslatable Confederation ship Blue Fish. Captain Stevens, we are not your enemy. We understand that you are looking for a cure for pancreatic cancer, and we are here to give you information about where to find that cure."
I replied, "Please understand we have encountered 3 ships of the same configuration as your ship.
one abandoned but engaged in battle with the other 2. Better safe than sorry. And yes, we are searching for a cure for pancreatic cancer." Captain Gothrough replied, "I can only surmise that your search is because someone of great importance to you or your ship is in great need. You have our deepest sympathies. I am sending everything we know about your search. May your deity guide and safeguard you." There was a long pause, then, "Calm seas and fair winds. Constitution. Go with your deity." The blue fish left, and I was stunned. "Joel, what did Captain Gothrough send us?" Joel replied, "Our eventual target is in a sector we have never explored. Captain Gothrough called it the Angel Cloud System, Angel 3. There is another stable wormhole 2 light-years to the south that will take us to within 200 light-years of the Angel Cloud System. There is another stable wormhole 2 light-years to the south that will take us to within 200 light-years of the Angel Cloud System." But he warned of hostile forces between the wormhole and the Angel Cloud System. I felt hope and dread. This ship and crew can overcome any obstacle. I ask only that we try. My bridge crew turned, and as one voice, "Captain, let's go." A tear ran down my face. Thank you. Number 1, the Southern Wormhole. I called it the Southern Wormhole for one of another name. UL-12. Number 1, you have the con. Joel smiled, Aye, sir. Only 2 light-years to the Southern Wormhole, little did I know what lay ahead. About 1 light-year into our journey, we were challenged by a huge ship we recognized as belonging to the Archons. Joe sang out, "Captain, we're being hailed." I replied, "On screen." There before me on the screen was the image of an Archon officer, Commodore Stevens. "How nice to see you again," and promoted to Commodore, "How sweet." The hair on my neck stood straight up. "You must be one of those cowards that ran from our last encounter. Have you found some guts? Or do you think I can't blow your ship to Kingdom Come? What do you hope to accomplish here?" He replied, "Insults won't affect me, Commodore. We made a strategic withdrawal to fight again another day. But I am not here to fight you. I am here to inform you that the journey you are about to embark on is fraught with perils even you could never imagine. Once entering that wormhole, you must be more vigilant than ever." I asked, "What the do you care?" He replied, "Commodore, after our defeat, our citizens rose up and threw the old regime out of office and installed a new government whose guiding principles are peace and cooperation with all sentient life. I am just a sailor pledged to follow the orders of my superiors." I told the officer thanks and farewell, all the while thinking that this Archon officer has no moral direction, just following orders.
The German soldiers found out that is never an excuse during the Nuremberg trials after World War II, but I didn't bring that up out loud. We continued our journey to the Southern Wormhole and a few moments later encountered an old friend.
"Commodore Stevens, Greetings from Admiral Yellowtooth.
I can say I was pleased to see our comrade in arms. The Admiral grimaced in an expression I had come to understand to be a smile.
Friend David, I understand the journey you have embarked on is for our dear friend, Stella, Lieutenant Commander Stevens. I mourn with you and your children. We pray to our God for her every day. May we accompany you on your quest?
I responded, Admiral, you have proven over and over again to be our greatest ally and my friend. You are always welcome to join us if for no other reason than just to have a dear friend nearby.
The Constitution and the Confederation approached the southern wormhole and paused before entering the event horizon. I asked my communications officer to open the intercom ship wide. Now hear this. This is the captain. We are about to enter the southern wormhole. We have been warned to be extra vigilant. Keep your eyes and ears open and your mind on the mission. Captain out. Joe, hail the Confederation, please. Joe responded, on screen, sir. I saw the Admiral smiling and gesturing for us to enter the wormhole. Shall we go, Commodore? I laughed. Let's go. And we entered the wormhole only to exit the other end in 16 nanoseconds. What appeared before us was a fleet of ships whose configuration we had never seen, but energizing their shields and powering up their weapons. On screen was a being resembling a dolphin, immersed in a liquid, challenging us, identify yourself. I responded, I am Captain David Stevens of the United System Navy ship, the USS Constitution. Our companion is Admiral Yellowtooth of the Flying Federation's ship, the Confederation. The dolphin asked, what is your purpose here? I replied, we are seeking a cure for pancreatic cancer to save the life of one of our crew. Again, the dolphin asked, what is the Admiral's purpose in coming here? I replied, the Admiral is our friend and wished to accompany us on our quest. Then the dolphin replied, Captain Stevens, I am Gulf 7, you may pass. However, I must warn you there are many perils ahead for you and your friends. Gulf 7 said, we will escort you to the boundaries of our Federation. Beyond that, you are on your own. Do you know where you are going? I replied, we were told it's called the Angel Cloud System, about 200 light years from here. Gulf 7 responded, oh, yes. We know that system. Those who told you of it correctly told you that Angel Cloud 3 has found what you seek. But I must warn you again, there are dangers you could not have ever conceived of. We can only wish you good luck. Gulf 7 and his fleet escorted the Constitution and Confederation to their border. The ships all paused, and Captain Gulf 7 offered some advice, do not continue unless you are willing to die to find that cure. I will tell you that once you leave our sphere of influence, there is little hope for you. Every adversary you will face will be out to end your existence as quickly and efficiently as possible. Again, good luck. The Admiral and I took our ships across the boundary and began the 200 light-year journey. Traveling at UL-10, we moved forward with the UL-10 creatures cavorting around us and showing curiosity about our ships. Then, suddenly, the creatures vanished, and we were left wondering what had happened until we saw a blue glow on our port side. The glow seemed to be from a single source, and that source was approaching our ships. It was as if our ships were standing still and the glow was growing closer, but we were still traveling at UL-10, which meant that the glow was traveling at UL-10+, approaching our ships at an oblique angle. I called Kate in the sensor lab. Kate, anything on our sensors? She replied, yes, sir. But it makes no sense to me. There is blue light from the visible spectrum, but there does not seem to be a source. There is no energy output, radiation, material, intelligence, just the blue light. Let me pause here and explain that all ships of the United System Federation have color-coded controls. These controls are labeled. However, in a combat or emergency situation, the crewmen do not have time to try to read the labels. They must be able to react instantly. The best illustration I can imagine is a piano player. The fingers know where the desired note is without looking. The USS Constitution has had one colorblind crewman who learned to react more like a piano player than those who could see color. For the average crewman, the color is essential until their fingers learn precisely where the proper control is without looking. The blue glow overcame our ships and was so intense that the crewmen perceived all colors as shades of gray or blue. As we continued our journey, the blue glow remained with us, obscuring our controls' colors. Then out of nowhere, a foreign ship approached, firing as it came, seemingly intending to destroy us. I called for red alert, but what was normally red was darkest blue. I ordered shields and hot weapons, but there was a delay as the crewmen could not see the colors of the controls. Eventually, we had our shields up and weapons hot. Why we were not blown out of space, I'll never know. We were sitting ducks, but we were not attacked. The blue glow stayed with us as the enemy ship moved on. This made the crews of both ships colorblind. As some phenomena seemed the enemy attacked our ships, our crew became increasingly proficient in using the controls like that piano player that never sees the keys while he plays. After we had traveled 100 light years at UL-10, the blue light left, and we were no longer color blind. And my crew had been forced to learn to become blind pianists.